Imagine this. You're standing in a room, surrounded by people. You're not the loudest, you're not the flashiest, you're not even trying to stand out. And yet, without even realizing it, eyes keep drifting toward you. A woman laughs a little too hard at something you barely said. Another leans in closer than necessary when asking you a simple question. You think it's nothing, you brush it off. But here's the truth, you are more attractive than you think. The problem is, you don't know how to read the signs, and because of that, you give away your power. Some women will never admit they're drawn to you. Instead, they'll disguise it in subtle games, indirect behavior, or even manipulation. They'll test how blind you are to your own presence. They'll see if you can recognize the pull you naturally create. If you fail, you slip into chasing. You turn into the guy who doubts himself, who tries to earn the attention that was already there. And that's where most men lose. What would you think if I told you that women often hide their attraction because directness would make them feel vulnerable? They mask it in sarcasm, in little digs, in playful insults. She says, "Wow, you think you're smart?" As her eyes linger a beat too long on you. That's not rejection. That's her testing whether you can handle tension without collapsing. If you instantly defend yourself, explain, or try to please her, you just proved you don't understand the game. But if you smile, shrug, or even tease her back with calmness, you confirm what she secretly hoped, that you're not ordinary. The first hidden sign she finds excuses to create proximity, not grand gestures, just accidental closeness. She touches your shoulder when walking past, even though there was enough space. She stands slightly inside your bubble, waiting to see if you'll flinch. She leans in during conversation, under the excuse of background noise. These aren't random, they're signals. But here's the trap: if you mistake proximity as permission, and you jump straight into chasing, you kill the very tension that made her curious. The tactic here is restraint. Hold your frame, notice it, but don't reward it with over-eagerness. The second hidden sign, she mirrors you. Maybe not in obvious ways, but in micro movements. You lean back. She eventually leans back. You cross your arms, and 5 minutes later, she's folded hers too. It's subconscious. It's her nervous system syncing with yours. But if you're too insecure, you won't even notice. Instead, you'll keep over-talking, over-explaining, thinking you need to perform. Strategy: go silent. Create pauses. Let her mirror your calm rather than chase her approval with constant words. Third, watch for emotional volatility. When a woman shows an unusual level of frustration, sarcasm, or intensity around you compared to how she acts with others, it's often not dislike. It's attraction twisted into conflict. Why? Because attraction makes people uncomfortable. If she seems too invested in teasing you, correcting you, or challenging you, it's not random. But here's the danger. Most men mistake this for rejection and start fixing themselves to please her. Don't. The tactic here is indifference. Smile at her storm, remain unshaken, and she'll feel the gravitational pull of your stability. Now let's be brutally honest. The biggest reason you don't recognize these signs is because you don't believe you deserve them. You've convinced yourself that attraction is something you earn by effort, by being funny enough, nice enough, interesting enough. So when a woman gives you signals, you either ignore them out of disbelief or crush them with desperation. That's why you keep losing ground. The battlefield isn't outside. It's your lack of awareness. Some women weaponize this blindness. They give you just enough attention to hook you, then pull it away to see if you'll chase. That's withdrawal as control. If she suddenly goes cold after a night of warmth, don't scramble to win her back. That's the trap, the tactic. Let her silence hang. Match her withdrawal with calm indifference. If it was real, she'll return. If it was manipulation, you saved yourself months of wasted energy. Think about it. How many times have you been in a situation where a woman gave you all the signals, lingering eye contact, laughter at your simplest words, playful touches, and instead of owning your presence, you panicked and overperformed? How many times did you chase validation when you already had her interest? And how many times did that kill her attraction faster than anything else? The truth is, women don't want you to decode them perfectly. They want to see if you can stay composed while the signals confuse you. They want to feel that you can't be shaken off your center. That's what makes you magnetic, not reading every cue like a scientist, but responding to every cue with calm, grounded strength. So here's the brutal clarity: you're already more attractive than you realize. The issue isn't whether women are drawn to you, it's whether you can recognize it without sabotaging yourself. And the moment you learn to see it, to hold it, to not collapse into chasing, is the moment you step into real power. Have you ever noticed a woman giving you mixed signals, warm one moment, distant the next? How did you react? Did you chase, or did you hold back? Which of these hidden signs have you been blind to before, and what did it cost you? Here's the uncomfortable truth most men don't want to face. Women are not going to walk up and confess, "I'm attracted to you." That's not how the game works. Instead, they send signals, they create little tests, and they wait to see if you'll crumble under uncertainty. Attraction is not about clarity, it's about tension. And if you can't stand inside that tension, you get filtered out. Let's talk about the eyes. A woman's eyes are like a weapon, but not always in the obvious way. Sometimes, she'll glance at you and quickly look away when you catch her. You think she's disinterested, but that's not the case. That's anxiety, not rejection. She wants to look longer, but holding your gaze would expose too much of her interest. Other times, she'll lock eyes with you a little longer than socially normal, just to see if you flinch, if you break, if you drop your gaze first. That's a test of dominance. You fail it every time you look away too quickly, every time you over-smile to soften the silence. The tactic here: hold the eye contact just a heartbeat longer than comfortable, and then look away casually, not with tension, with calm dismissal that says, "I'm aware of the game, but I'm not playing for approval." Here's another sign she finds ways to insert herself into your orbit. Maybe she asks you questions she doesn't really need the answer to, or makes little jokes just to get your attention. Maybe she points out something irrelevant, just to keep a conversation alive. You tell yourself she's just being polite. Wrong. Politeness doesn't require effort. Interest does. The problem is, most men get so shocked by this attention that they start bending over backwards to keep it going. They tell more stories, they overshare, they desperately try to entertain, and in doing so, they reveal their insecurity. The strategic move: less is more. Don't reward every attempt. Answer her questions simply. Let silences breathe, and watch if she doubles down to keep your attention. That's how you measure genuine pull. Now, let's get into one of the trickiest signs: jealousy. You might think jealousy is toxic, but here's the truth. It's a hidden form of attraction. If she's cold toward you, she doesn't care who you talk to. But if you notice her shift, her sudden quiet, her change in energy, her subtle digs when you give attention to another woman, that's not indifference. That's investment. She feels threatened because she values your presence. But here's where most men lose. They panic and overcompensate, running back to reassure her. That kills the power dynamic instantly. The better move is to stay neutral. Don't flaunt it. Don't explain it. Don't reassure. Let her feel the discomfort. That discomfort confirms your value more than any compliment ever could. Let's be brutally honest here. Attraction often comes disguised as resistance. Women test because testing is safety. She wants to know if you'll break when she withdraws, if you'll collapse when she criticizes, if you'll grovel when she pulls away. If you do, she knows you're not strong enough to carry her storm. But if you can stay calm, if you can remain grounded while she throws her little challenges suddenly, you're different from every other man she's dealt with. Here's a scenario you've probably lived. She's warm one day, distant the next. You sit there overthinking. Did I say something wrong? Did I do something to upset her? Should I text her again just to check? And by the time you've sent that third message, you've already lost. You showed her that her withdrawal controls you. The tactical response is brutal in its simplicity. Don't chase absence. If she pulls away, you match her space. You don't punish, you don't plead, you don't lecture, you mirror. That's how you break the cycle of emotional manipulation. And understand this, the signs of your attractiveness aren't always flattering. Sometimes they come wrapped in conflict, in teasing, in withdrawal, in jealousy. If you expect attraction to look like a Hollywood romance smiles, admiration, easy flow, you'll miss the real game happening right in front of you. Attraction isn't soft, it's unstable, volatile, and full of tension. The men who thrive in it aren't the ones who decode every signal perfectly. They're the ones who refuse to be knocked off balance by any of it. So the next time you notice mixed signals, don't obsess over clarity. Ask yourself one thing. Is she investing energy into me, positive or negative? If the answer is yes, you already have her attention. What you do with it is what separates men who keep attraction alive from men who strangle it with neediness. Now I'll turn it on you. Have you ever caught yourself chasing after a woman's coldness, trying to win back what she deliberately withdrew? How did it feel when you realized you gave her the upper hand, and what would change if, instead of reacting, you matched her silence with calm indifference? Here's the reality most men never learn. Attraction is often hidden behind contradiction. A woman may act uninterested while her body betrays her. She crosses her legs toward you. Her feet point in your direction. Her pupils widen when you speak, but her words are dismissive, almost mocking. You take her words at face value and walk away, convinced you're not her type. But her nervous system told a different story. You just didn't know how to read it. Subtle body language is one of the most powerful signs you're more attractive than you realize. She tilts her head slightly when listening to you. She lingers a second too long before pulling her hand away after a handshake. She adjusts her hair or clothing when you enter the room. These micro signals are not accidents. They're unconscious leaks of interest. But if you're trapped in insecurity, you'll dismiss them as coincidence. Worse, you'll interpret them as random politeness. The tactic here, train yourself to notice patterns instead of isolated actions. If she consistently orients herself toward you in group settings, if she habitually finds excuses to touch her hair, her necklace, her sleeves while talking to you, that's not nothing. That's attraction disguised as habit. Here's another overlooked sign she remembers details. You mentioned your favorite drink once, casually, and the next time you're out, she brings it up. You said you had a big meeting, and later she asks how it went. That's not normal small talk, that's investment. When a woman files away your details, it means you take up mental space in her mind. But again, most men ruin this by exploding with gratitude or overcompensating, thinking they need to prove themselves worthy of that attention. Don't. The strategic response is light acknowledgement, not heavy validation. Smile, nod, thank her casually, and move on. Let her investment hang in the air without you suffocating it with neediness. Now let's talk about emotional testing. Women rarely test men they don't care about. If she pushes your buttons, if she questions your confidence, If she jokes about you in front of others, it's not always disrespect, it's assessment. She wants to know if your frame can hold. If you get rattled, if you argue back with defensive energy, you fail. But if you absorb it with composure, if you can laugh or calmly brush it aside, you flip the test into confirmation of strength. Think of it this way: the test is not the threat. Your reaction is. Consider silence as another sign. You've been with her, the conversation drops, and instead of rushing to fill the gap, you just sit in it. If she stays in that silence without fleeing, if she doesn't check her phone or make an excuse to leave, that's attraction. Comfort in silence is intimacy. But most men panic. They fill every pause with stories, jokes, over-explanations, trying desperately to keep her entertained. All that does is show you don't believe your presence alone is enough. The tactic: practice stillness. Let the silence breathe. If she's still there, you've already won more than words could achieve. Here's the deeper layer. Women often signal attraction through resistance because vulnerability terrifies them. Directly telling you, "I like you," risks rejection, so they push, they tease, they create challenges. And if you're sharp, you'll stop interpreting resistance as rejection. Instead, you'll recognize it as an invitation. Show me you won't collapse. Attraction doesn't always feel warm. Sometimes it feels like tension, like friction, like pressure. The man who understands this never panics when things feel unstable. He thrives inside the storm. But let's not romanticize this. Some women manipulate with these same signals. They'll test not because they're attracted, but because they're bored, insecure, or craving validation. That's why your awareness is everything. You have to separate genuine attraction from hollow games. Genuine attraction comes with consistency. She invests, she returns, she lingers. Hollow games are erratic, empty, designed to keep you orbiting her without progress. The strategy: set internal thresholds. If her energy is all withdrawal and no investment, if her signals never lead anywhere tangible, you disengage. Indifference is your weapon. Here's the punch: you don't need to go chasing attraction, it's already happening. The real challenge is not sabotaging it with insecurity, overinvestment, or blindness. The moment you start believing you are the man she's testing for, not the man she's tolerating, you stop begging for signals and start recognizing them as confirmations of what's already there. So let me ask you, have you ever mistaken a woman's teasing or sarcasm for rejection, only to find out later she was actually into you? How many signals have you ignored in your life because you didn't trust your own value? And what would shift if you started treating resistance not as rejection, but as proof of hidden desire? Here's a harsh truth you've probably felt but never put into words. The moments when you thought you were losing her may have actually been the strongest signs of your attraction. Confusion, mixed signals, volatility. These are not always signs of failure. They're signs you're shaking her world in ways she can't fully admit. Think about the way she reacts when you're not available. You don't text back immediately, and suddenly she sends a second message. You're busy for a day, and she makes a subtle jab about how you've forgotten her. If you weren't attractive to her, she wouldn't care about your absence. Indifference only exists when there's no investment. But you misread it. You panic, rush to respond, over-explain why you were busy, and in doing so, you destroy the very tension that proved your value. The tactical move: embrace scarcity. If she notices your absence, don't compensate with over-presence. Let her feel the gap. Let her chase back into it. That's how you flip her reaction into confirmation. Another hidden sign: unnecessary defensiveness. She accuses you of things you never did. "Oh, you must talk to girls like this all the time," or "I bet you're the type who flirts with everyone." Those accusations sound like criticism, but they're actually projection. She's acknowledging the possibility that you hold power with other women. It's her way of checking if she's just another name in your book or someone who can stand out. Most men fold here. They rush to defend themselves, reassure, and promise loyalty. Wrong move. The right tactic is calm, deflection. Don't explain, don't defend, laugh, shrug, or flip it back with a teasing. Would it bother you if I did? That keeps the power in your frame. Pay attention to how she reacts to your silence in person. If you stop talking mid-conversation, does she scramble to fill the gap? Does she suddenly bring up random topics just to keep your attention on her? That's not boredom, that's investment. She doesn't want your focus to drift away. And yet, most men blow it by rewarding every filler line with endless enthusiasm instead of letting her work for your attention. The tactic: don't rescue her from silence. Let her fight for it. Every time she does, she confirms you're the gravity in the room. Let's address the darker side, withdrawal, as control. This is one of the clearest hidden signs of attraction, but also the most dangerous if you're blind. She showers you with warmth, then suddenly goes cold, waiting to see if you'll chase. It's not always malicious, it's often instinctive. Women fear losing power once they reveal interest, so they pull away, testing whether you'll collapse into pursuit. If you chase, you confirm her fear that she gave away too much. If you don't, if you calmly match her distance, something shifts. She feels the weight of your indifference, and her attraction intensifies because you're not controlled by her games. Now, let's go deeper. Sometimes, the hidden sign is not in how she treats you, but in how others respond when you're around her. Her friends tease her when you enter the room. They glance between the two of you, smirk, or create space for you to talk. Women rarely hide their attraction well from their social circle. If her friends are nudging, joking, or even interrogating you, that's indirect confirmation. But here's the strategy: don't over-celebrate it. Stay grounded, even amused. If you act like it's a big win, you reveal how little experience you have. Calm acknowledgement keeps the dynamic in your favor. And here's something brutal: the very frustration you feel, the endless guessing, the mixed signals. The confusion is proof of your attraction. Women don't go out of their way to create emotional chaos for men they don't care about. If she's investing energy, even in difficult ways, you're already on her radar. The mistake is taking that energy and converting it into neediness instead of leverage. So remember, this attraction doesn't always feel good. Sometimes it feels like anxiety, sometimes like conflict, sometimes like silence. If you've been waiting for attraction to arrive in the form of clarity and easy comfort, you've been blind to what's happening right in front of you. You are already more attractive than you realize. The game isn't about gaining attraction, it's about not destroying it with weakness. Now let me challenge you. Have you ever felt the sting of a woman suddenly pulling away, only to chase her harder and watch her interest vanish? Have you noticed how she reacts when you don't immediately respond to her texts? And most importantly, what would happen if, next time, you didn't chase, but instead held your ground and let her come back to you? Here's where the real awakening happens. You stop thinking about attraction as something you have to win, and you start seeing it as something you already generate. The problem has never been the absence of attraction. It's your blindness to it, your disbelief in it, and your destructive habits when it appears. Think about the subtle ways women reveal their hand when they believe you're attractive. They shift their tone around you softer, more playful, sometimes even childlike compared to how they talk to others. That tonal shift isn't random, it's instinct. You don't change your voice for someone you don't feel pulled toward. The question is, do you notice it? Do you recognize that she's unconsciously lowering her guard around you? Or do you ignore it? Convince yourself it's just her being friendly, and throw away your advantage by over-explaining or overcompensating. Another hidden sign she criticizes other men in your presence. She'll casually mention how some guy was too arrogant, too needy, too boring. On the surface, it looks like gossip. But what she's really doing is framing a comparison. She's indirectly asking you not to be that guy. She wouldn't waste her breath if she didn't care how you came across. The trap is when you agree too eagerly, when you jump in to prove how different you are. That reeks of desperation. The better move, stay neutral. Let her project her judgments. But don't jump to defend or separate yourself. The more you remain unshaken, the more she sees you as unlike the men she criticizes. Then there's the laugh. Attraction has a sound, and it's louder than the joke deserves. A woman who finds you attractive laughs at things that aren't even funny. She amplifies her response to create connection. Most men mistake this for their own comedic genius, and they start clowning harder, thinking they need to perform to keep that energy. That's how they kill it. The strategic move is to underplay. If she laughs big, smile lightly, nod, let it pass. That calm detachment makes her laugh more because she realizes she's investing more energy than you are. Let's get into the physical cues that most men overlook. A woman who keeps fixing her clothes, adjusting her jewelry, or smoothing her hair when you're around isn't just fussing for comfort. She's preening. That's her subconscious aligning her appearance to the value she perceives in you. But here's the key if you compliment her too directly in these moments. You break the spell. She's already trying to impress you. If you feed it too soon, you shift the balance. The tactical move is subtle recognition, hold eye contact. Maybe a smirk, maybe a small tease, but never flood her with validation. You let her effort continue. Now, here's the shadow side of being more attractive than you realize. Women will test harder. They'll pull back suddenly. They'll pick fights over nothing. They'll flirt with other men in front of you, not always to hurt you, but to gauge your reaction. If you collapse, you fail. If you stay calm, almost amused, they realize you're not like the rest. Attraction brings storms, not calm seas. If you expect it to be easy, you'll misread the turbulence as rejection instead of proof. And this is where your power lies, in detachment. The more you try to decode every signal, the weaker you become. The more you trust your presence, the more you let her reveal herself without you chasing, the more the signs become obvious. Attraction is not something you dissect, it's something you allow. It's in her stolen glances, her unnecessary defensiveness, her nervous laughter, her sudden silence when you step away. She didn't stop talking because she ran out of words. She stopped because you shifted her internal world. She didn't tease you because she hated you. She teased you because she was terrified of admitting she liked you. And she didn't pull away because she lost interest. She pulled away to see if you'd follow. When you don't, when you stand in calm silence, you force her to return on her own terms. That's the difference between men who destroy attraction and men who multiply it. So here's the final clarity: you are already more attractive than you realize. The signs are everywhere in her eyes, her tone, her friends' teasing, her jealousy, her resistance. The only question is whether you'll recognize them without sabotaging yourself. The moment you stop doubting and start noticing, the game changes forever. She didn't break you. She revealed what you were too afraid to protect.